Hey yo, what's up? You know what it is? It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks on, and yo, the King of Fighters Destiny episode number 2. Yo, another heat, another banger. I gotta say indeed, because just to try to combine a little bit of what happened and a lot of history analysis, is our episode started where it technically ended. Jeff is dead. Oh, he's nice and dead. Jeff is dead. Which then sets up for what is going to happen. Now, the thing that I really don't think the King of Fighters Destiny is going to get into is how Terry ended up with Tongue and how Andy ended up with Hanzo and Mai. I don't think that the story even needs to get into or delve into that. I really thought it had been 2 seconds of life, but I really, you know what? I take all of that back. Most of it anyway. If nothing else, when it's time to get greasy, training montage. Just wait for it. Training montage. They'll show after Jeff died, Terry and Andy go to Tongue. Tongue like, yo, Terry, I'm training you. I want you to go holler at my boy Hanzo Shiranui and go be a ninja or some shit. That's gonna happen. Don't worry about it. Like, given this episode and how they show flow or whatever, training montage. Wait for it. You'll see. It'll happen sooner than you think. Just wait for it. This episode, being entirely Kyokugen style, did a wonderful job of starting to introduce, like, the Kyokugen family. Because the first episode had Benimaru and Yuri running into each other, and Benimaru like, hey, bet you want to love me on Facebook, girl? I'll poke you. And I mean, I'll poke you. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. This episode introduced Ryo, and what I really appreciate about what the King of Fighters Destiny is doing is it's willing to have fun with characters. It's willing to, for the sake of narrative, have fun with the character. Because you got Kyo and Goro, they walking up the street, and it's just dudes in black suits just flying out the door, right? And then it's like Ryo try to chase after them to get away. His bike break, right? Like his famous motorcycle, which is one of his favorite things listed in his bio. They ain't break. So he runs after them, and then we get a question and answer session with Kyo and Goro trying to figure out where it was that his homeboys went and where Benimaru and Ryo would ultimately end up. And Ryo stole somebody's bike at some point. Super just penning like this is nuts. I'm like, I appreciate that, and it's like one thing that I want to get into like right now while it's on my mind. I appreciate the music. Like, the opening is really good, and what I definitely appreciate about this episode is one of my favorite songs in all of video games. That remix was hot. That song being, of course, of Billy Kane's theme, London Marching. That's my favorite thing. He's gone through many things, but London Marching is always my shit. Speaking of Billy Kane, speaking of my boy, is his choice of wear, right? Because okay, wait a minute. Because this is more of those, I got something on my mind, please, with your boy type-ish, alright? Let's think about this for a moment. Now, here's canon for you. At some point, Geese find Billy and Lily on a trip in Europe, because that's how canon is. And he would train him up, and he would be the undisputed World Heavyweight, the King of Fighters of Southtown champion, got 3 belts on and all this. Billy Kane, right? That's just what it was until Terry beat him. Terry hasn't beat him yet in this canon, which then falls into the other thing of Ryo Sakazaki. Now, I've talked at length about this in some older videos about it, but just to give you the 1-2 combo punch, is Art of Fighting 2 technically never happens in the canon of KOF. It would contradict too much shit for it to actually happen. So they take a lot of what Art of Fighting 1 was and then just say, well, hey, Geese did it, but, you know, Geese is too busy getting his whooped by Terry for us to, like, actually, you know, retcon this into something that makes sense. So just forget about it. Just forget that it happened. That Art of Fighting 2, not really a thing. Don't worry about it. Because it's weird, because the Art of Fighting 2 KOF tournament is a tournament that actually happens before all of this, But it doesn't technically happen because Terry and Ryo are the same age. So in order for you to really fit that down into how it works in KOF canon, it's like it happens, but it don't happen. But it happens. It's really, really weird about how Art of Fighting 2 works in KOF canon. It happens, but it doesn't. Art of Fighting 3 happens, though, because there are many references to it in KOF 96. And when I actually get around to getting the tech and reviewing KOF 96, we'll talk about that. He's wearing a real belt jacket. Because, again, and just to get back on that original point of... Think about it, right? Because I'm thinking, because this show is playing so loose with canon, right? You would think Billy would be in the overalls, right? Would be in the overalls and whatever, and hooking up. Like, that's one of my favorite costumes, guys. Like, Billy in the overalls is my joint. I'm like, I kind of wonder why he doesn't have it as a DLC costume in KOF 14. You think he would, because in KOF 13, that's what he had, but he never had another alternate costume in KOF 13 either, so that's weird too. But it would assume at this point is that we learned during the fight, Billy knows of Ryo, and vice versa. So... in order for Ryo to win the Art of Fighting 2 tournament, he would have had to run into Billy, but Billy's not in that game now, is he? Because technically he wouldn't have existed in canon yet. Oops. So, see, there's the whole thing of it happened, but it didn't happen. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. Wonderful episode. I'm like, I know that we've gotten on and off a tangent, but it's just that I just needed to just, that because, again, like I said in the first review, I'm watching this for a whole bunch of different reasons, knowing that I want to make this a project of reviewing each and every one of these episodes. Also understanding that I'm watching this for sitting up here trying to find out, like, what the hell continuity is and where Carmen Sandiego is within continuity, right? So, to sit up here and to want to dichotomize it like that is like, that's what I do. So, I'm like, my dichotomization of what canon should be versus what it is versus what is presented has nothing to do with the quality of the show whatsoever. It's just me delving into my own head and just trying to figure out this is what they're trying to do and this is how they're doing it because this was already established before this even happened. So don't take this as like I'm judging the show or anything like that. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to tell y'all about this canon and how it's supposed to work versus what you're seeing because this could be its own separate continuity and probably is and probably should be considered in its own separate continuity because of everything they're trying to do. But I love what they're trying to do and appreciate what it is they're trying to do because this is amazing so far. So... given the end of our episode, which reintroduces the Southtown Nightmare, Geese Howard, I'm assuming that phone call was to let Geese know that Terry was in Southtown. Something that actually happens in canon, right? So, you really got to sit up here and you have to wonder, like, how are they going to play this? Because, again, if they trying to do Fatal Fury and KOF at the same time, Terry gonna beat Billy's ass. That's a thing that has to happen because it does. You have to really wonder because we got Mature, like I said in the first episode, we're just gonna go and review. You got Mature running around jacking Resident Evil trucks. Is where does Rugal fit into this? We also got a bit of Hydern in there, and we didn't see his face, so. I haven't seen any pictures of actual Hydern in the show, so I don't know if he weren't an eye patch or not. Because, see, at some point he would have lost that eye. He would have lost that eye trying to hunt down Rugal after Rugal killed his family. So there is that. You have the whole Leona thing, but that's a whole nother Orochi thing whatsoever. And that's in the mix too. I didn't mention that in the first episode, but the opening of this episode is, yo, the Orochi is really bad. Here's a bead, here's a sword, and here's a mirror. Yo, do something, bruh. And I'm like, okay, fine. So, they got 24 episodes for this to all to make sense. I said this and hinted that this is the first episode, but since I'm on this tangent, let me go. How do you introduce Iori? How do you? Like, when you think about KOF 94 and 95, because I really think that's where our focus is, if we're talking about KOF and its canon and where they're drawing anything from, is that KOF 94, and I've explained this a billion times, is a prologue to the rest of what the Orochi Saga is, because it is an actual canonical game. It happens. Things happen, the whole Saishu thing, and Rugel's back alive, Orochi power bitch, and it's like, well, okay, fine. So just so you know, that's what I'm laying down for y'all. That's more of this thing. What is this thing? I'm trying to build a house of canon here. Within whatever this canon actually is versus what canon, what we know and stuff, I still haven't got a chance to explain to the streets because I'm still behind on the KOF project, things and such. But that's that. The too long skip to the end type of this episode was great. The fight was good. I'm glad I got to see my boy Billy. They gave Rio some love. They said they showed him as a clown, but he get down and, you know, Benny Mar doing what Benny Mar stuff. It's like the thing that I'm gonna say before we get up out of here. Terry versus Kyo, they really putting like a lot of emphasis on whatever this fight is going to be. But the thing is, the actual series never really gave the fight between them much precedence, or the two characters interacted in any way much precedence at all, other than sometimes having like a special intro or something. Like the series don't really pay Carrie and Kyo in the same place at the same time, you know, any mind, because Kyo's dealing with more important shit, and Terry's just a howling wolf that wants to shoot and just wants to ask if you're okay before he busts his wolf on you. So there you go. So it'll be interesting to see, like, that's probably going to be, like, the middle of the series, so then they can introduce Iori, and then the rivals can really get down and get greasy with that. So, keep that in mind. But, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. You know it is, the one in the alley, the triple, the G.O.D. And I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that being said, I will holler at you guys next time, man. Peace out.